We're continuing our training with USP structural connectors for UBS. This is going to cover USP products and using the catalog. Now, this is just going to be a general overview of product and catalog. There will be more specific trainings to follow. We're going to be using the 56th edition, which is good for 2012. The catalog itself, as mentioned, is also available in iPad app, which is pretty handy to use. You can get it on iTunes, or of course, like everything else mentioned here, information, go to our website. It's a pretty good source for lots of information, including downloads. There's deck software we'll discuss. There are some technical downloads for specification that are pretty powerful. As mentioned, if this is the main page, simply go to catalogs. We'll jump you to this catalog page. If you click on our main catalog, you'll get to this page. Now you can download it as a PDF, and PDFs are pretty handy because you can search them, digitally. Just do searches within the PDF on your laptop. But if you're online here, this is a pull-up searchable menu that's pretty neat. So if you're familiar with the product that you've had, the product name, in this case a postbase and an AB postbase, you would simply scroll down, find that, click on it. It would bring you to our appropriate page. It would pop right up there on the website. There are also category selections here that you'll jump to the catalog online. That stuff is all, of course, available right on the printed version of the catalog. And as you open it up, you'll notice we've got a USP index and we have a reference number. The reference number is the product that you carried before bringing USP on. So if you are familiar with the number of what you had, you can look up here, and we'll stick with the post base. So here we'll go an AB post base. I'd look up under the reference number, I'd look up for an AB post base. It's on page 49. Now that happens to be our PA, which is our post anchor, and that's on page 49. So they both point to the same part of our catalog because we use this reference number. The table of contents, if you're not familiar with our number or reference number, it's just a simple catalog category overview. So fasteners, concrete, hold downs, and in this case caps and bases again. So we would just go to post anchors, page 49 to 52, and within that we would find those other methods. Now this blue type here refers to this section overview, which you can see over here. So every time you go to a main category, you'll get a section overview, which essentially takes the style of hanger, face mount, top mount, slope and skewed on this page, but you'll get an overview of all the different styles. So it's a very quick visual reference way to find a product. It'll point you to the overview pages, which in this case, for a face mount, we'll go to probably the most common hanger for decks, and JUS hanger, which refers to the reference number of an LUS hanger. And since we're here, I may as well mention the most important thing about any crossed nailed hanger is that you need to use a full length nail that's specified over here in using it in the cross, because if you think of it, if you only use an 1.5 inch nail, you won't even get it into the header. And the strength of these crossed nails, strength of all hangers come from the fasteners. So using an improper fastener will give you either reduced load, or in this case, if you don't use a nail that gets into the header, severely reduced load, which can be a very big issue. So make sure you refer to the information that we'll get to on this chart. So this is a blow up so you can see a little bit better. Use the first column is just the joist size. That's obviously what is going to go into it. This is our product number. This is the reference number. The thickness of the steel. Now, these dimensions, W, H, D, and A, refer to the product, not to the wood or the member that's going into it, into the product, into the hanger. So there'll be a diagram associated with each chart. So we've got W, D, H, and A in this case refers to the flange width, and that's mentioned here. There's no flange width here because this is an IF, an inverted flange hanger, so there's no dimension mentioned here. This is the important part, fastener schedule. Make sure that you're using the appropriate quantity and nail size. So in this case, you've got nails going into the header and into the joist. That's the header, that's the joist. So in this case, you want to make sure, we're looking at our JUS24, that you've got a full 10D going into those cross-nailed hangers for the JUS series. All right. The load here is broken down into floor, roof, and uplift. These are different ways that this hanger, different values that the hanger has for holding a joist or a framing member in place. So the first number, floor, is a regular dead load for a floor. This first hanger is good for 455 pounds. Now you see this number goes up in these next two columns. That's because if it's used as a roof framing member, you can get a temporary increase of its load, either 115% of this amount, which is that, or 125%, which is greater increase from there to this. The reason there are two different loads, and the reason they're higher, is for a roof, you're allowed to have temporary increase in roof loads that are associated generally with snow. And in this area, some areas use 115%, some areas use 125. When in doubt, always use the more conservative figure. Uplift is just what it sounds like. Uplift, that's normal load goes down, uplift goes up. So literally usually associated with wind, but it's the opposite of what you would normally think a hanger does. That load associates with the force going up, how much it wants to pull up out of the hanger. Okay. On this page, we're just doing a sample of engineered product. You can see it's laid out very similar to standard product. This first column would be the joist information, the joist framing member size, our product number, reference number, if it requires a web stiffener for installation, the gauge steel, and the dimensions here, W, H, and D, which point to the diagram that will be associated with the table. The fastener schedule required, and what's most important here is you'll see there are two columns, two different shaded columns under allowable loads. This is for Doug fir larch, southern pine. This is for spruce pine fir. Different species of wood have different values associated with fasteners and hangers. Back in the day, most people framed with Doug fir, and the calculations for these were done in Doug fir. This is pretty much industry standard, but nowadays spruce pine fir is more of a standard, and it has a reduced value compared to Doug fir. So you'll see the load here is 1,695 pounds if you use this hanger in spruce pine fir. In Doug fir, large southern pine, that value is 1,975 pounds. So just remember which column you're looking at. Engineered wood tends to fall into the Doug fir category. So if you've got LVL or engineered framing member, you want to take a look at this column. All right. This essentially talks about how we establish these loads. We test the product in application and figure out what the value would be to push or pull on this product until you get 1/8 of an inch deflection, meaning until this product moves 1/8 of an inch, and then there's a safety factor involved with that load applied. It's a safety factor of 3. So for example, here we would apply load to this with a device here that would measure 1/8 of an inch deflection, if that moved 1/8 of an inch. And let's say that load was 3,000 pounds to get it to move 1/8 of an inch. Well, we would publish 1,000 pounds. That's the safety factor involved. This, if you take a look here, is actually figuring uplift. You see, it's figuring how much load it would take for this to lift up out of the hanger. So you literally just flip it around, which is also a nice trick if you're looking for added uplift values. You can add hangers to the top of the framing member to get additional uplift value. That basically just covers how we determine these load values here. With the values, which are obviously very important, this National Comparison Guide is another piece of literature we have online and printed where we compare load values with the products you would have, you may be familiar with. It's important to know that the majority of the time we'll have equal or better loads. There are times where the reference product may have a better load, but the bulk of the time we'll have equal or better loads. And one good example of that is something that was on the cover of our catalog, which has become very popular, is this hold down. The reference number HDU is, take the most common one used in this case, is 5,600 pounds. Our PhD, which is a PhD 5A, we have 6,500 pounds. And in fact, this HDU 8 is 59, and again, the 6,500 pounds of the 5A beats the 5,900 pounds. This is they're not all this dramatic, but it does show how one product can replace 2 products. There's a certain advantage in specification and in application, so you don't worry about switching and using the wrong product in the wrong place. It's pretty cool. So that's going to be it for this overview on the catalog and the product. One of the things that when you're set up in the store, you take a look, some of these have these QR codes, and it's a way to get information digitally with a wireless or a phone system, and you actually can get information on the product live. It's pretty neat. So the next we'll be discussing specifically USP hangers for engineered wood products. Thanks.